Welcome to the FPL USA Press Play Podcast. It's been another brutal game week for many in the FPL community, but you got two of the best managers. Maybe that's a stretch. Two of the best podcast hosts. That might also be a stretch.
Two hosts.
At least one of the most handsome FPL USA hosts, and that's you, Brian, joined by my dumb self who took a hit this game week, and I'm suffering the consequences.
Oh my goodness.
You got Bucks Wild and Brian surging up the ranks chin here on this episode. How the hell you doing, baby?
You never flatter to deceive, Bucks. I appreciate the comments, although my beard is looking very bushy here on the stream, so it's going to be due for a nice little cut, but right now I am feeling good. My FPL team is doing the business and just feeling in a good position with rolling transfers and having very much an optimized squad heading into the next couple of game weeks. So other than that, though, the football, pretty shitty. I mean, anytime we come off of these international breaks, it is just a chaotic, pretty abysmal game week. And you see some of the top teams really not gelling. And I thought the football was just filled with tons and tons of yellow cards and fouls and stoppage times. It just wasn't great. Wasn't great at all. And of course, you had a captaincy blank on top of that and some red cards, and it's a rough game week for many folks.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? I think I'm speaking for many in the FPL community when I say that game week 9 this weekend cannot come quickly enough. And we will have UCL Champions League footy between now and then. So practice patience if at all possible with transfer moves. But I think with that, let's dive into recap and rewind to the game week 8 horror show that was. Let's start with you. Let's start with the good. You're the lone green arrow of the hosts. Chen, how'd you do it?
Yeah, barely, but I will certainly take any green arrow, any game week I can get. So I ended up on 45 points, and my two transfers in this week were TAA out and also Luis Diaz out for Mickey Van de Ven and our guy Foden. So pretty mixed results there. Luckily, Foden comes in at the about 65-minute mark and gets his little FPL assist off the corner kick, and John Stones gets the winner there. But I was really betting against this Liverpool team being able to clean sheet Chelsea, and I'm glad it worked out. TA had 0 XGI in that game. No crosses, no shots that were anywhere close to goal. So it's looking like he could be a sell, especially with their next 3 fixtures coming up where you don't really think they might keep more clean sheets. But my guy, Gavardiol, a 10-pointer, a god amongst Rico Lewis men. He comes in with 2 goals out of the 3 game weeks that I've owned him since wildcard, and that was a huge one for me this week. And then with Saka dropping out, I was up pretty late, still kind of tinkering with my squad. Would have been like maybe 4 hours before the deadline, but I ended up not taking him out for Son, but I get a 7-pointer from Mikolenko coming off the pine. You were telling me to start VDV over him, but I at least got my bench order correct because I put him in front of Semenyo. So a bonus 7 points. And now with Son losing some points in the end before the game week ends, only a 1-point difference whether I would have taken out Saka for Son. So overall, feeling very good about my team, and green arrow to 385K.
Lovely. When it's going good, it comes good sometimes. And that was some jammy Mikolenko sauce that you put on your fries at the end of a game week to, make sure that you got that green arrow. I'll go next.
Bucks. I'm getting a few green arrows here. When are you going to start listening to some of my advice about
Never.
Your team?
Never. I am my own manager, for better, for worse, and for crazy. So I live with the consequences.
Oh, geez. So tell us about your hit that you took going into this week.
Yeah, so I was feeling despair coming after the international break. And so I took a -4 hit. I moved João Pedro, who seems to have a injury that is not improving. He has an unknown return date. So I fucked that guy right out of my team. And I also had Saka. And I feel like I saw the writing on the wall. I saw him limping off in England duty. And then, there was this whole clusterfuck of investigation, whether he was traveling with the team, whether he was going to be part of the Arsenal squad. And I just figured, I don't like to sit on my hands as an FPL manager. So I moved Foden and Solanke in for João Pedro and Saka out. Now, the move didn't quite come off. I end up on 34 points all out and a red arrow, deserved red arrow. But I do feel like my team is better set up going into game week 9 than I was going into game week 8. And that is in spite of the fact that Phil Foden continues to confuse and cause headaches, I think is the right word. Maybe migraines is more appropriate.
Bewilderment.
Yeah, the fact that he's not starting when City seem to be desperate for creativity or from some more attacking punch, it's just very bizarre. I mean, if the fact that Gundogan in the kind of twilight of his career is getting starts over Phil Foden makes absolutely no sense. And
Yeah,
Phil Foden came on, immediately
we'll
got
talk
the
about that
assist.
match later, but I got a few choice words for some of the players on City, so we'll save that for a couple segments from now.
So I got 34 points. That's a very meh score this game week, but I did have Verbruggen was kind of my savior in goal with 10 points. Laughing all the way to the bank.
Insane haul versus at Newcastle gets a 10 fucking pointer.
Yeah, so I took that. Jackson also is one of my differentials. He gets a goal. It's whatever. Keep it moving this game week. It's not as
bugaboo.
Go ahead.
My main bugaboo with you is that you benched Rodgers versus Fulham, and you could have just moved the Foden piece and waited on João Pedro and started Rodgers, and then you avoid the 4 points. You're probably up another 9 points in that transaction. So that's the one thing that I was a little bit in your ear about on Friday afternoon when we were talking transfers. But it is what it is, and like you said, you got to live with it and move on to the next game week. Whatever, your team's better set up now.
Yeah, that's I dealt with a 1 week self-inflicted injury, but talking about some self-inflicted injuries, let's talk about our missing in action co-host Black Wolf. I think he's still behind the couch because he only had 10 fit players for game week 8, and he lands on a meager 24 points. Big red arrow. It's getting to be scary days for our partner in crime, Dan. I think he's touching 4 million in rank. Not that rank matters at this point in the season, but he's definitely making things interesting for himself as he pursues another top 20K finish.
Yeah, I feel like he might have to adjust his end game here. Like top 100K, I think is always his goal. Very respectable. Might have to be top 250K at this rate, but points are all bunched up. He's got a bunch of chips left, but he's just had crazy luck for some of his tertiary picks in his team. He had a great tweet that I think got like 1,000 likes where it was like, my Saka auto sub is Minte. My Minte auto sub is Greaves. My Greaves auto sub is João Pedro. It's just like, holy shit. No playing bench and gets out 10 men. So we wish him the best, and he's enjoying himself on a business trip, eating some nice dinners and hopefully schmoozing some clients and some vendors. So we'll catch him next week.
Yeah, hopefully the business trip goes better than game week 8, to say the least. Let's go to the good. Let's go to the manager of the game week in our free-to-enter Press Play Pod Premiership. Now, this league is now locked, so thank you to the over 500 managers who have gotten involved. A lot of us will be competing for a free kit at the end of the season, as well as weekly shout-outs here on this humble podcast. And the top scores were much better than the three of ours.
We have the top manager of this week, YMB De Scorpio, end on 67 points. Very well done to him. He has Mo Salah capped for 24. Huge differential. No Haaland in the side. And then he also had Welbeck come in for a 9-pointer. McNeil with 6. Son with 8. Veltman. Oh, the auto sub Veltman for 7 points. Oh my goodness. And Dean chips in 4 with an assist. So well done. 67 points. That's like 3 times Dan's score. That is a pretty good chunk rise, I would say, in a tough game week for many managers.
Yeah, that's like a million points better than Dan and I combined, to say the least. It's brutal.
That's right. That's right.
All right, congrats to you, and great luck to all the managers who entered that free to enter mini league. We look forward to chatting with you, answering your questions throughout the season, and maybe even beating one or two of you in the overall rank department at the end of the season. As right now, we're giving you a free cushion towards that number one spot with Black Wolf and I so low in the ranks. With that, I think it's time for our first break. When we come back, we'll talk about some drama that filled game week 8. And we're back. Let's rewind to game week 8, and let's start with the controversy that didn't even wait for the opening whistle, starting with the Saka. Is he alive? Is he dead? Did he travel to Bournemouth? What the fuck was going on there with
What are
some of
his
the press
dimensions?
conference?
How
Yeah.
tall is he? How wide is he? What is his shoulder length
Is
and width?
Andy Martin a more fit right wing than Bukayo Saka? We might never know because the guy didn't travel to Bournemouth after all. He misses the game entirely. There's accusations of FPLQ, a cabal of cartel members, of content creators going around circle jerking each other into the Saka to Sun move. But it's all for naught because Saka didn't play and there was bench jam to be had by many in the FPL community. And I think the big story here is not that Saka didn't feature, it's just how woeful Arsenal were at Bournemouth in this match. And it all was compounded by the fact that, of course, Saka didn't make the team. That's bad news bears as is. But then Saliba gets a. Are we saying it's harsh or is it deserved? I know where I stand. Where do you stand? He gets a red card early in the match,
I
changing the
mean,
whole complexion.
he it was close enough where he put the referee in the mode to make the call, and when you put him in that position, it's tough. He could have probably broken away to have a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and they made their decision, but it definitely changed that game. It was going to be a relatively tough game regardless. Like Bournemouth, like I've said in the pod a couple times, they're a plucky team. They're not going to barnstorm anybody, but they can put up a fight, and especially on their home turf, that's what happens. And I mean, 3 red cards in the first 8 matches of the season for a team that could really, we thought, catch City and maybe win the title. And obviously they're still in contention, but it is crazy to have 3 red cards from a top tier team in the first 8 game weeks.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to cause some controversy here. I think it was a deserved red card. As soon as I saw it, I messaged our mini league thread. I messaged some of the other chats that were in that, in my opinion, in my eyes, that was a red card. Now, people were calling my optometrist saying I needed to get LASIK or get my eyes checked. The criticism was harsh and not short on supply. But you know what is short on supply? My feelings of remorse and empathy for Arsenal because they are the shithouse kings of the league under Arteta. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And if you fuck around with the refs in this kind of way every single match with the time wasting, with the tactical fouls, with the 4 center back setup, guess what? Sometimes you get burned. And this one, I don't think it was a bad one like Rice with the red card. That was totally unnecessary. The Trossard one, a little more questionable. I think Evan Nielsen was clearly ahead of Saliba, and so he was in on the keeper. Raya was backing up. For me, it was a straight red, and that's my take. And I'll go to the grave with it, even at my 7-digit FPL ranking. That's my feeling here. So good on Bournemouth. They deserve the result.
Yeah, I thought, like I said before, this was going to be a tough match. No Saka, no Odegaard, away from home. You're hoping to keep a clean sheet after international break when a lot of your players have traveled and played, and the lack of focus was just not there, quite frankly, for Arsenal. Even in the first 20 minutes before the red, they were having a relatively tough time. So it is what it is. We're going to have a lot of those throughout the season, but I don't know. Double defense has been killed right now. Wild card game week 6, even people on game week 4 wild card have gone double defense, and that has been very, very disappointing. So when you're boasting about your 10-pointer, I'm sitting here over here with a 1 or a 2 from Raya the last couple of weeks. So pretty crazy, variance there. But with their fixtures coming up, if you have Saliba, you got to sell him. I would free up some funds, maybe get off the double defense because of their fixture run, which is going to be tougher. And as a Saka owner myself, I am definitely looking to move him out. Even if he is fit enough to play midweek in Champions League, there's still a good chance that his minutes are going to be reduced. If it really was a hammy, it is what it is. I just think that it's very interesting because obviously we've always seen Saka come back from these knocks, from these injuries, and just always start under Arteta. So maybe it's a trend or it's something more serious that he suffered from. But I mean, he was on international break. He loves to represent the England shirt, and he went out with a injury. There was always this chance that he might not play, and that's what you did. You took him out for Foden because of that. And I think for anybody else, this bitching and moaning on X is just hilarious. Like the content creators,
Yes, it is.
they thrive on getting early team news and leaks like during their deadline streams. If they knew that, they would have passed that information on. And so, your people are looking for players coming off the bus. I mean, it is the crazy, chaotic drama of FPL. It's very funny to me, but there's also troll accounts out there. So I was listening to Mark Southerns from FPL Black Box, and he was talking about how he accidentally to his Discord posted a troll account that was saying that Saka was not going to play. And then it was identified to him that it was a troll account indeed. And so then he didn't remove Saka in the end for Sun. So just like a funny saga of events. But look, don't take this game so seriously that you're going to be, throwing death threats at content creators and slashing them and slamming them. I mean, come on, get over yourselves if that's the mantra you want to bring to the FPL community. We don't want any of that here, Bucks. Only good vibes, right?
Yeah, ain't that the truth? We are not a leak or in the know pod. We are all about good vibes and good cheer. That's what our podcast and our community is all about. So, with that, you mentioned Foden. Let's transition to talk about the Citizens. They play Dan's Wolves. And, we were talking about how Haaland might feast against the lowly defense of the Wolverhampton Wanderers. Third blank in a row, the first time in his career at City that he doesn't get
Crazy.
a return when fit in 3 straight matches. And making matters worse, popular transfer move, for me at least, Foden starts on the bench. So this City team is just all out of sorts right now. No KDB, no Rodri, kind of no excitement, no cutting edge in attack, that's for sure, and no clean sheets in defense. It's all up to the defenders to kind of save their bacon these days.
Yeah, so if I'm Pep, I'm just very curious about why you roll out Doku on the left wing and Savinho on the right wing, who are both pacey wingers who like to dribble past people, but they don't know what the fuck they're doing to break down a low block. They seriously, they're incapable. Doku has like one move when they're in the final third, and it's dribble, and then go towards the touchline and try and do a terrible cross with his left foot. That's all he can do. He has no other moves. And then Savinho, a new player, he blew a few chances in this game. He missed a few passes. And it's just crazy to me that you don't start Grealish or Foden in this match to break down the low block. A more cerebral type of player is able to find these pockets. I thought when Grealish came on, he was creating a bunch of chances and using his body and his movement in a different way that was actually impactful for the rest of the City players. So, when you have Foden on the bench, some rumors of possible long COVID. We don't know anything about this, but it is crazy to me that he has not been starting in these matches. So, as an owner, too, we want to see him play, hopefully, minimal minutes in UCL and then start in this Southampton match, which I expect him to. Overall, yeah, very interesting times. And when you're Haaland, when you got these fuckers, Gundogan played terrible. It was not
Everyone was terrible.
impressive squad, except for Gavardiol, the god. Oh my goodness. This guy's goal threat is very, very high. I expect him to be on maybe 6 or 7 goals this season, and he's going to continue to play. And they actually literally need him to be making these overlapping runs. And that's also something Doku was not realizing the passes and the overlapping runs from Gavardiol, because obviously I'm watching that very closely during the match. And he just would refuse to pass that little sideways pass into the box to Gavardiol and instead wanted to go one-on-one every single time. It's driving me up a fucking wall, Bucks. I Oh, I am honked off like a goose at this Doku guy. He is not the player you need in your side for a low block.
Yeah, good thing he cost much more than Cole Palmer did for Chelsea. That is looking like a better and better swap deal for our Chelsea Blues, match week in and match week out. But just going back, last word on Haaland: 0 XG, 0 shots, 0 key passes, 0 key dribbles. Uh, that's not what you want to see from your captain. And
Yikes.
as hot as he started the season, he could not be more on ice right now after this last little stretch run. And the fixtures are there. I mean, the fact is, this performance is happening against arguably the worst defense in the league. So, really confusing and concerning times for us Holland captainers and owners.
With that said, no better matchup could come the next one here with Southampton at home in front of the home squad. Oh my God. I mean, I'm still honestly considering the triple captain just based on how bad Southampton are. Like, they were up 2-0 versus Leicester and give up 3 goals in the last like 30 minutes. They just make so many mistakes out of the back. I just feel like there's going to be a couple tap ins for Haaland coming up here. So I'm still honestly considering the triple captain just based on how bad Southampton are, which is kind of crazy after 3 straight blanks.
All right, sticking with teams in the top four, let's go to Liverpool, who hosted Chelsea at Anfield. I thought this was one of the most exciting games for neutrals, and there was some controversy to be had for sure. First and foremost, Tosin has a very similar play to Saliba. I think this one was slightly more in line with Tosin on Jota than Saliba was on Evan Nilsson. That gets a yellow card. I know that had shouts of red coming my way once again. But Liverpool end up the better of the bunch. They win 2-1. Salah draws what looked like a penalty that was not called, only for Curtis Jones to get a more like soft penalty given. Salah buries that. And then Salah returns the favor, giving an inch perfect pass to break the offside trap to Curtis Jones' feet. Liverpool, they kind of smacked back at Chelsea, who had just scored the equalizer through Nico Jackson a couple minutes earlier.
Your boy.
Really exciting match, tons of chances. And I think 2-1 is the deserved result for Liverpool. They had the better, clear chances. But Chelsea had the most shots they've had at Anfield in 10 years. So I just think that kind of you could take good things away from both teams if you're a supporter of each club. Liverpool stay top of the league, and Chelsea, they put on a really good performance. Credit to the way that they showed up and showed out in the first 20 and then the last 20 minutes of this match.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head right there. When they go back to the bridge for this other leg of the fixture later in the season, I think Chelsea will be very confident that they'll be able to deploy their tactics and, depending on who's healthy and fit, really have a good share of the ball and give that team a big run for their money. And Liverpool is the fourth most experienced team in the league. They have a lot of older players on their side that know how to grind out results and wins, whereas Chelsea, bunch of fucking youngins, right? They're still going out of their potty training diapers. So these guys will get a lot more experience over the next handful of game weeks, and hopefully later in the season it'll be another great match. Also want to note that Diogo Jota goes off before the 30-minute mark. He had been in and out of the lineup with a few other injuries. We're not sure if it's a rib contusion, which would maybe keep him out for like 1 or 2 game weeks, or if it's a fractured rib, which could be 4 to 6 weeks. So something to keep an eye on. And then we saw that Nunez came in for Jota and then played left wing, and then Gakpo went to center forward, right? So that is also interesting. If, for example, we saw that Jota would be out for 6 weeks, could be a decent shout for the Gackening, but more to come. We'll see what happens. But game week 12 onwards, you're going to want some more Liverpool assets in your side. But right now, fading them because defense, they got some tough fixtures here. Arsenal, I'm not sure what's going to happen in that match, but I kind of expect both teams to score, maybe a 2-1 result. Depends on what happens with Saka, but
Yeah,
we'll
let's save
preview
that
that a little bit later.
Let's talk about the last match we want to cover this game week, which was a London derby, West Ham versus Spurs. Now, Son comes back fully fit. He starts the match. That's big news. And Spurs score 4 times, but there is no returns for Solanke, who West Ham have just been conceding left, right, and center to center forwards. I think they've given up 8 goals to the center forward position this season so far. He leaves with a blank. And Brennan Johnson, probably the hottest commodity in the Premier League over the last stretch of games. I think he had 6 goals in 6 appearances, 6 starts
That's
since
right.
kind of blanking in midweek. And holy shit, both them to not score in a 4-goal drubbing of West Ham. Brutal noodle, to say the least.
We got very lucky to dodge both of those assets in this fixture because Brennan Johnson looked really good. Had 5 total
Well,
shots.
I had Solanke, so I didn't dodge it. I took it
Oh,
right on the chin.
oh yeah, that's right. You hit him in. That's
Yeah,
right.
making matters even
Instead of just playing
worse.
Rodgers. Okay, so BJ played all right. He almost amassed a, .9 xG in this one, 5 total shots. But Solanke kept dropping back like Harry Kane, a la a few seasons ago. He gets 1 total shot, and I think had maybe 1 chance created. So not what you want to see. Probably better days ahead, but yeah, just a rough debut experience for you, right, Bucks?
Yeah, that sucked majorly, but Son was really influential. He was very involved. He gets a goal. He had a phantom assist that was given, then it was not given, and it ends up being not given at the end of the day. But if you went Saka to Son, I think you're still a move ahead, and the fixtures for Spurs look really good going forward. So I wouldn't sweat that too much. I think those points will come in bunches in due time.
Yeah, and he rolls out for 70 minutes coming off of a bit of an injury. So I think he'll continue to gain fitness. He had another shot that went off the post. So easily could have been that 15-pointer that Son typically gets. That is one thing with him. If he gets 1 goal, he really goes for another a lot of times. So you'll see him bag a bunch of braces. I think the bigger thing here is just our annoyance with FPL Towers changing how the bonus point system can go for the whole game week. Like, what the fuck? So they give Son the points on accident for an OG, and then he gets 2 bonus. Then they send out a tweet, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, wake up this morning, they're actually going to take away the assist and reduce his bonus points. It's just so annoying to not have it like it used to be, whereas an hour after the match, those points in your side are locked. I'm just very cognizant of what will happen if we had, for example, game week 38, and these fuckers in FPL Towers, there's a 2 or 3 guys going for the title for the whole winner of FPL, and these guys are just using their puppet strings and figuring out what they want to do with the bonus system. Oof, I do not like that. That could be a really bad look. So I'm duh. It's just so annoying, right? Like you don't know how many points you have at the end of a day, and then you go into the next day and have less points or more points. Like it's fucked up.
So dumb. And I have to say, this is the one place where clearly no one was asking for more VAR. And we definitely didn't want VAR in our fantasy sports. So I think this is one thing to look out going into next season, because I think otherwise we do have to give credit where it is due. And Towers this season, I think it's by far the most difficult and the most interesting FPL has been in my career, which is now going to its 5th season. But this is a clear
Absolutely.
miss. This is
Yeah,
a clear miss, and it's such an obvious fix. Just make the decision, use Opta, and at the end of the match day, right? Like we don't have to have decisions dragging through the course of a 3-day game week. Just make the
exactly.
fucking decision and own up to it.
Have some
Because
stones, have some
yeah, we're
stones,
gonna
and
be
just move
upset at
on
your
with
bullshit anyway.
it.
You didn't give the Solly March points, and then all of a sudden you are giving the Sun points only to take it away. Just grow a pair and make a
Oh
fucking
my
decision.
goodness.
We're all
Yeah.
adults here. Golly.
Yeah. All right. Last thing to note. Pedro Porro looked very lively in this one. He ends up with a blank, but I believe he had like 4 shots and a couple of chances created. So he is a player that I think one of those big 15-point hauls is coming in the next couple matches. Maybe versus Ipswich, that could be a time when he has a big haul. But if you're looking to free up funds and moving from somebody like TAA down, he's not a bad player to call out there. But clean sheets, a little bit tough to come by. I started Mickey Van de Ven. I might have to start him next week though. Crystal Palace. Whew, that
Yeah,
team
they
looks like
stink.
shite. But all
Yeah.
right, let's wrap it up here. We're going to take our next break, and we're going to come back and fast forward to game week 9. We'll be right back.
We're back. Let's hit the fast forward button, load up the DVR, and dive into the best matches to target for FPL points. We don't have to look far. I think the most obvious of obvious matches is Southampton traveling to the Etihad for their turn at the spanking. I think Haaland, he finally comes good. I think he gets at least a double return in this match. I'm predicting a minimum of 11 points for the Norwegian robot. 3-0 to City. What say you?
The Southampton team continue to try and play out of the back, and it's just absolutely hilarious. They
Oh, it's
make
disastrous.
so many mistakes and look like a championship level team. So their defenders in midfield just do not link. They can't hold the ball at all. So I feel like Rico Lewis in this one's going to have like 10 tackles, 10 ball recoveries, and he's going to come up with maybe 2 assists. That's my prediction here. Big Rico Lewis game because he's going to have that free roaming role and pick off a few of these passes and slot them right to Haaland. So that's one of my plays of the week. I do not own him, but I think he is due for a double return coming up here.
Yeah, this is the ultimate chin special jinx. What he really means is that Rico Lewis is probably going to get benched and Guardiola is just going to lean into an easy clean sheet.
Jinxie.
He's
Fucking
just,
jinxie.
he's voodoo staring the entire FPL community with that comment just now. What do you think? What's the final score going to be? Do Southampton nick one or City get a clean sheet?
I think they nick one, probably 4-1.
Oh my goodness.
This team can't
Golly.
keep a clean sheet. They clean sheeted Chelsea in game week 1 and haven't kept it clean the next 7 matches. So
Yeah,
I'm not that confident there, but they're going to score a lot of goals at home.
I think so too. I think we'll see the offense look like it's a training ground exercise against the Saints because the Saints are going to hell the way this season is going. They're going right back down to the championship. Next match we want to highlight Spurs at Palace. Has any team ever looked as bipolar between Palace in the last 10 matches last season to the first 8 matches this season? I mean, it's almost like they got body snatched in a Freaky Friday situation. They looked so good last season and they look so bad. I think they might be at risk of relegation if this continues. They need serious reinforcements in January.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Eze is a massive loss. He's a world class player, but you should still
Eze
be
still
able to
plays
be
for the
like,
team. Eze still plays for the
oh,
team and
sorry,
he
excuse me,
sucks.
Elise, Elise, excuse me. But yeah, Eze has been unfortunate at times, but wasteful at others, and they really need him to step up and get at least 10 goals and 10 assists, and he's just not been doing the bits. The fact that Mateta last year looked like a world beater and now he's coming off the bench and playing 20 minutes instead. I know they invested in Necktie. That's not going so well. Just nothing's working. This Kamada guy, also trash. Yeah, just not a good look for them. So I would be starting your defenders. I would be starting your attackers with confidence because they just look abysmal.
Is Dean Henderson the worst goalkeeper in the league? He must be in the mix, right? He's so bad.
He looked all right behind the sticks when he was at Manchester United and subbed in a few games for DDG. And then since then, he's just had a bizarre career. You know, stints at Forest, Crystal Palace. He doesn't look good at all. Yeah, it's very surprising how poor he's been playing. And he gifts my guy Chris Wood a nice goal. I mean, he made a few good saves in that match. He actually stopped Wood in the first half and stopped a few other shots. But then, yeah, he just isn't strong enough on some of his shot saving capabilities, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because he's a veteran keeper. I mean, some of these plays that he
Yeah.
lets in just look like he's like playing the position for the first time with his baby deer legs or something. It's just like why is that ball going in when 18 of the other keepers in the league would keep it out, kind of thing. So makes you give your head a scratch. That's for sure.
Yeah, another match to call out is Brentford hosting Ipswich. This is one where Mbomo is going to back into a double-digit haul. So far, we have seen Ipswich. They have the lowest XG out of all the teams in the season. They have not even reached an XG of 4 goals so far through 8 matches. So very much an opportunity for Flecken to not only get saves, but maybe their first clean sheet of the season. And I will be starting Flecken off the bench instead of David Raya. Oh, that's right. I'm getting off the double defense and starting the Fleckening. What the fuck is going on? But I'm looking for that 4-point edge, and I think he might deliver it. So benching Raya because I'm pissed at the double defense for Arsenal.
I wish you Flecken worst of luck on that rotation move. Goalie rotation in general is ill advised, but in your
I'm
case,
a fucking
Brian,
bag it, baby. I'm
yeah,
feeling good. Going for the
the way
punch.
your good juju's are flowing this season, I expect that, of course, Flecken probably gets a clean sheet and like 6 saves and bonus points. So he'll, of course, get an 11-pointer for your team. And by 11-pointer, I mean a 1-pointer, because he's going to let the lap just like lap dance it right into the back of the net on a corner kick or some weird shit.
Yeah, he'll get saves though. So I'm looking forward to playing that. And because for some reason he's in my side on game week 6 wild card because of the Raya injury. So may as well just roll him out for some fun. But
Yeah, I love that.
And then I think we should transition quickly to the best IRL matches. And first we'll start with our Chelsea Blues hosting Newcastle. Newcastle pretty disappointing lately. So this should be a get right match for Chelsea after a draw and a loss. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think they take this 3-1. I think I've been impressed with Chelsea. Even in their bad performances, they're going for it. I mean, I think that was a really bold move from the team to really set up and be progressive away at Anfield in a match like that. And yeah, I think now that they're home, they're kind of through their toughest 2 matches of the season. Both, with the Liverpool match away, they already played City. They will have to play Arsenal. Of course, that's a difficult match. But I think you could be starting Chelsea players, especially attackers, in confidence for the remainder of the first half of the season. So I really like the look of Palmer. I think he'll get a return. And I think Jackson will stay cooking. He's been a great differential for me and other managers who went there. So, yeah, Chelsea to get the dub.
You have to think that, especially at Anfield, you're missing 2 of your starters, Fofana and Cucurella. Like, not that they're world beaters, but they're starters, right? So the continuity of the team and the shape is changed a little bit. So, I think those guys, when they come back in the squad, it'll be pretty good. So I think 2-1 here to Chelsea.
I like that. Last but not least, we got to talk about Liverpool traveling
The big one.
to the Emirates to play Arsenal. This is 1 versus tied for second, or tied. Is it third now? I think it's 1 versus 3. Arsenal, of course, will be without Martin Odegaard. They'll also be without arguably the best defender in the league, William Saliba. And they may or may not be without Saka. And what that tells me is that I think Arteta is going to make this game as woeful a watch as humanly possible. I think Arsenal will be playing for something like a 0-0, where Liverpool are going to come out and really have the onus to make something happen. I think this looks, my gut is telling me 0-0, but I think Liverpool have enough. And I think they win 1-0. What do you think?
Clean sheets in a close match like this, I don't see it. I think this is 2-1 to Liverpool.
Interesting. I don't know who's scoring all these goals.
Look, I'm just kind of down right now in Arsenal, especially Saka coming off of an injury. Then no Odegaard. We got no Saliba in this one, right? So I guess Calafiori will start in his slot next to Gabriel, and then you'll have White and Timber if he's fit, probably. So it's still like decent. I mean, Calafiori played a lot of center back in Italy, so it's definitely a left-footed player that can slot in there. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Really, I think it's going to be Ben White and Gabriel in the middle, and then there'll be Timber and Calafiori on the
I guess
right and left back. I don't think it really changes that much. It's they have a wealth of options at center back, which is They would play a whole team of center backs if that was a real option. Arteta
I
loves
mean,
him a
they're
big, meaty
versatile,
center.
so we can go anyway. But yeah, I expect there to be goals in that one, and that'll be a fun way to wrap up the game week with that being the last game as well. So let's take a break here, and then we're going to come back with our FPL community questions, and then also go with our transfer plans and captaincy shouts. We'll be right back.
All right, easy does it. Let's jump into the mailbag. We've got some great questions from the hashtag FPLUSA and hashtag FPL community. So let's start with the first one from Graham Atwell. He's asking Cunha, Strand Larson, or Rasmus Højlund? Obviously, Chris Wood seems to be the best budget forward option, but with tough games coming up soon and DCL being an XG monster and a real life puppy dog, who is the best forward option in that kind of sub $6.5 million range? What do you say, you?
Yeah, and then his Australian buddy, Kev Johnson, also asked, how long do I ride the DCL train in hopes of a return, or is he just an absolute zero? I mean, I'm a DCL owner, and it has been frustrating. He had two big chances in that match and could not convert them. So very much a disappointment not to get any returns there. He's missing his one-on-ones, but right now they have a couple cupcake fixtures, so I think I'm going to just hold. They have Fulham at home, Southampton away. You need to have him for those two matches and then maybe move him on. But I think the players that you're looking at, there's just so many options. Raul Jimenez is coming into his own, and with that terrible Andres Pereira penalty kick, I would definitely not be surprised if Jimenez is on pens moving forward here for while he's on the pitch for Fulham. And then other players to also consider. I mean, I'm also kind of interested in Wissa coming in for Brentford. I know he came off the bench last time, but he started the season with 3 goals and 1 assist in their first 4 matches, and they played City and Liverpool in that starting 4. So he's a player that connects really well with Mbomo. He's going to be very lowly owned, so you are taking a risk on his minutes just coming back from this injury, but he is also very much on my watch list.
Yeah, I've the 3 that Graham is throwing out there. I think Cunha is the best option of those 3. But I think if you can stretch it, Chris Wood is very obviously the best goal scorer in this mix. And we're kind of sleeping, like you said, Raul Jimenez should be included. But one that I think is just going completely under the radar is Danny Welbeck. I think he's probably on arguably the best attack of the teams that we're listing here between Wolves, Manchester United, Forest, and Everton. You throw Brighton in the mix, they have the potential to score 4 goals in a game, where I don't think the other ones do. And he's massively in form, and he's first choice and the number 9 spot, and he's in great form under Hoitzler. So I'm regretting not going for Welbeck and going for João Pedro. I was a sheep on my game week whatever wild card that I used, and yeah, it's biting me in the tuchus because Welbeck keeps getting points, and he looks really impressive. He looks rejuvenated in this Brighton team. And like I said,
you don't use that word enough, Bucks. That was beautiful pronunciation. That
I
made
got you.
made my day.
All right, let's go to the next question. FPL Paz, one of the great content creators in the hashtag FPL USA community. He needs his eyes checked based on the Saliba red card accusations, but he's asking what
so
to do
much
with
banter
Saka
in
this
that
week.
in that FPL USA group chat. Loved it. Loved it.
Yes, there was. What to do with Saka this week. Now, I think I sold him and you kept him. So what are you planning to do with Saka?
I mean, given that they have a fixture, I'm not sure who they're playing. I have to look it up in Champions League, but I don't think it's a pushover.
No, they have like they have a pretty cupcake fixture this week.
Oh, they have
I'm pretty
maybe
sure.
Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah, Shakhtar.
So, yeah, they suck. They're at home at the Emirates. He shouldn't need to play that match. But at the same time, I don't know if we're going to get a press conference that's going to say that he's back. So in this situation, I would move him on. The next couple of fixtures for Arsenal, you could either go with Son or you could go with Cole Palmer. I think given the injury and that he's not fit, that just puts me off him. I don't want to spend 10 million on a player that isn't fit. And so looking at the ticker, what does Arsenal have? They have Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea away, NFO at home. That's a bad stretch, especially NFO playing decent as well. So I think now is the time to divest in some of your Arsenal assets and move them on. So I mean, you could even look. I wish Foden was more of an option to tell other managers to join us in that pain, but I think Son, especially because you can captain him in game week 11, home versus Ipswich, versus the internet providers, versus the providers of FPL glory. They're going to restore Son to a double digit haul. So that's what I would be going with. And you can just do the downgrade in one move, right? I love that as well. Cole Palmer, obviously, world talent. Newcastle at home, Manchester away, Arsenal at home. So the next three aren't the greatest. So I lean towards Son, and then getting Palmer towards game week 12 is my plan.
I
What are your
agree with
thoughts
you.
there, buddy?
I think Son is the optimal move, but I actually think that the Chelsea fixtures are being a little overstated how difficult they are. I mean, outside that Arsenal match, Manchester United and Newcastle are not the teams we are expecting them to be, or that the FDR ticker is saying that they are, especially in defense. So I think that Arsenal match is tough, but that's a ways away, and we've seen Cole Palmer do it against the best of them. So I think you can't go wrong bring Cole in, which is a nice way to transition to our next question from at Barrister FPL, who's asking, is it worth finding the funds, maybe even doing a double move to upgrade Luis Diaz to Palmer now? Or instead, should he just go and free up funds in a single move, going Diaz to the best player in the league, Dwight McNeil, the McSauce?
Oh, baby. McNeil comes in big with a 6-pointer this weekend. He has the second most chances created of any player in the league, only behind Bukayo Saka. So he's actually been playing very, very well. And there's a reason why I have 2 Everton players in my side right now. They have very, very cupcake fixtures for the next 6. So it really depends what you want to do. If you want to go with a freemium setup, or if you want to go and spread your funds elsewhere. Right now, again, like I said, there's always an opportunity for Palmer to get his brace, and he will always be looking to score. And so I think long term, he's a great FPL option. So if you want to go that way, I know that Barrister is an Arsenal fan, so it probably will pain him a little bit to bring in Cole Palmer, but I'm not sure who he hates more, Palmer or Son, being from Tottenham. So those are the main choices, I would say.
Yeah, I think what we've learned about Cole Palmer is he's the best FPL player when he's fit and he's firing. And so I just think that the upside chasing move is to get Cole in. Newcastle and Man United will have plenty of opportunity for points, even if Arsenal match is going to be much tougher. And of course, Jeremy's going to be rooting head, heart, and FPL team in alignment against Chelsea in that match. So again, I think it's not as much a toss-up. You know that Palmer will score more points than Dwight McNeil. It's just whether you can stomach having a Chelsea guy going against your beloved Arsenal team in game week 11. So
with that being said, I just pulled up his squad at Barrister FPL. He also has Dom in his side, so he's going to have to make 2 transfers in order to find money to upgrade all the way to Cole Palmer. So in his situation, I would take a long look at possibly downgrading Trent and freeing up enough cash to get Luis Diaz to Cole Palmer. That sounds like a pretty solid move if you've got 2 frees. Don't take a hit for it, though. Do not take a hit for it. I would go the other way.
Don't be bucks.
We got to learn from some of these dumb mistakes.
All right, let's go to friend of the pod at Holy Pinto, who did our amazing podcast music and is working on upgraded tunes to feature after the 3rd international break. We don't like to do things in a normal time frame. We do it on.
I was planning to roll them out for this episode, actually. So big shout out to Eamon. He's our guy. He's the Englishman with some banter, little whingy at times, but he's proving that he's going to have a very good FPL season this year. So we appreciate all the work he does for us on the pod. And I probably owe him a beer, but I haven't seen him in a minute. So hopefully we'll get one soon. And he's got an open invite for you to go to Craven Cottage with him for a little weekend trip. So maybe is there Chelsea versus Fulham match? That would be cool. That would be worth the trip.
That would be sick. But what's really sick is the way his season has started out because he hasn't used his wild card chip yet. I think he's flying
Jealous.
out of the gate. He had Palmer for that quadruple return, and he's eyeing up a wild card in either game week 9 or game week 10. So he's asking what the cornerstones of a late wild card will look like. I got my thoughts. I'll let you start, Chin.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, it's interesting because if you wild card this week, you have to have Holland. Whereas if you would wait and wild card in game week 10, then you could skip Holland and go with Palmer. And I would say probably a combination of Palmer, Saka, and Salah, right? So I think I'm trying to get in his DMs and tell him to wait until after this game week and see if he can suffer through it. But I know he is similar to Dan. He's got no playing bench. I think he went down to 9 men or something like that this past week. So his team's pretty much ready to wild card. But I think those are some of the cornerstones there. I still think Gavardiol would be one of my premium defenders. I think he's worth possibly having an upgrade. You could even compare him to Rico Lewis, but I just think the goal threat is there on headers and just an open play. So he would be another pick that's one of my favorites. And then from there, it's really just trying to figure out, there's so many budget forwards. So I think the threemium setup of Saka, Palmer, and Salah really looks good on a game week 10 wild card. But we have to hear a little bit more about Salah. So any other picks that you really love to include on a game week, maybe 9 or 10 wild card, Bucks?
Yeah, well, I really like the idea, like you said, of going budget in the forward line. So you could get Solanke, you can get Watkins, and maybe you can get Chris Wood. And there you go. You're going to go 3-4-3 every game week. And you can kind of bin some of these more expensive defenders because we're not getting the kind of big returns from the premium defenders that we have gotten in seasons past. It's much less predictable. So I think there's value to be had going kind of super premium in midfield, going cheap but elite, the guys that are in form up top, and being very different in your wild card setup than many managers.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably get those 3 premium mids on a game week 10 wild card. And then honestly, maybe even Ollie Watkins, who continues to tick along. He's that premium price tag at 9 million, but you might be able to fit him in if you go with no Trent, etc. So just wanted to shout out Watkins as well because he continues to deliver the points. He's up to 9.1 million, 8-pointer last week. So somebody else that you could definitely consider. I
Getting
guess
lots of chances.
He's getting lots of chances, and he's not going to play more than 75 minutes these days, but is somebody to possibly consider as well. All right. Last question is at my Cayman fan. He sends in a lifestyle question. He wants Bucks to swoon a little bit and talk about the New York Yankees headed to the World Series for the first time in a long time. So, Bucks, are they going to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers? Because we might have to put a cheeky wager. I actually don't even care about baseball, but I just want to maybe bet against you.
Aren't
And
you an A's
root
fan
for the Dodgers?
or Brewers fan? You're co-opting the Dodgers now. What's going on here?
Well, I'm not going to support the Yankees. I can't do that. My pops is born in Boston, bred in Boston, so he's a Red Sox fan. So I cannot support the Yankees. That's just one of the things that gets handed down from father to father and father to son, etc. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I love that. All right, it's the first time the Yankees make the World Series in 15 years. Way too long. That's basically 150 million years in Yankee land for us fans.
Yeah, and like
It's going to be
$115 billion spent on payroll over the last since the last World Series. So
yeah,
it's about
ain't that
time.
the truth? Ain't that the truth? Well, the tickets, I just looked. My Cayman fan will appreciate this. Standing room only tickets at the new Yankee Stadium for Game 3.
Oh my goodness.
You want to guess how much they were?
$5,000.
That's a little exorbitant. You don't even get a seat in this setup, so you get to walk around.
Oh, no seat. Sorry, no seat. Okay.
You get to get the chicken bucket for like $100 and a couple beers for $20.
Yeah. It's got to be, I would say, 400 for standing room, 500 for standing room.
Oh, if only I would be there, packed in like a sardine. But it's $1,400 for standing room only tickets at Yankee Stadium. So as much as I would like to be in the building, I will probably be watching from my couch or a noisy bar. But it should be awesome. I think this is the best matchup for the MLB, the two biggest markets, two best teams. And the Yankees are actually going to come in at an underdog. So I've been cold as ice, like Cole Palmer celebration from the wager
Yeah,
department.
I see you
But
holding yourself. You're that cold.
I know, but I will be placing a cheeky little wager on the Yankees to come out on top, and I think that it should be a wildly entertaining World Series and baseball back on the map, and hopefully a second title will come in the month of October, early November for New York, because I got to congratulate the ladies on the hardwood, the Liberty getting it done for us New Yorkers in Brooklyn, especially. So I can't wait to go to that parade with my daughters in a couple weeks.
Controversial finish there, apparently. I had one of my buddies in my fucking ear about how bad the reffing was, East Coast
Yes.
bias, etc. I'm like, mate, you couldn't pay me enough to watch that. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. So
It was
yeah,
great,
good
great
times
fun.
for some New Yorkers. But I think
All
that's
right,
a wrap. Let's move over to our transfer plans and captaincy shouts, and then we'll get on out of here, Bucks. So I have 3 free transfers, which I am
fuck you,
certainly going to
fucking asshole.
enjoy. I have a lot of flexibility. And man, especially after Mikolenko put in that 7-pointer, I'm feeling pretty spry with my bench as well. And Semenyo, he had, I think, 6 or 7 shots versus Arsenal. He's on my bench this week as well. So I'm feeling pretty good about the squad. I'm going to likely move Saka to my boy, Son. My team name this year is the Son of Destiny, and he is destined to be my transfer this week. Why not? Bring in one of my favorite players of all time and just hope that Foden really does the business this week, because I invested a lot in him. So that's what I'm hoping for, and just avoiding all Liverpool hauls. That's my one weak spot in the team right now. No Liverpool coverage for these couple matches, but I'm expecting them to at least get 1 goal from Arsenal. So that's where I'm at. I'll roll the other 2. My eye and just long-term planning, game week 12 is a really popular kind of fixture swing. That's when I'm planning to move off of Erling Haaland and into more assets from Liverpool, primarily TAA and Salah. So I will be trying to roll to get 5 free transfers in game week 12. So that's my tentative plan right now. And with a deep bench, I should be able to do it. Captain Haaland, possibly triple cap. I'm 75% triple cap on Haaland right now, but I think I have a long week to analyze and see what happens there. Thoughts?
I love it. I'm jealous of your wealth of free transfers. I'm
Yum
stuck
cha
here
boom
with
cha, baby.
Yeah, I'm stuck here with 0 free transfers. I'm gonna roll. I'm probably gonna end up swapping Rogers and Eze, so Eze will drop to my bench. Palace just stink. We should not have any Palace players anywhere close to our
I started
FPL
with the
teams.
triple up in game week 1 on their fucking side. That's what set me back. Good lord.
Yeah, think you could be already in the top 100K, but you're well on your way there. I am going to roll, and I'm going to captain Haaland. I'm going to keep it simple this game week. There's a non 0% chance that I might swap out Trent, but I actually think that this could end up being a decent
KG
match for clean sheets based on the injuries that are in both teams. So I'm probably just going to keep the faith, roll the transfer, captain Haaland, and hopefully get back into the green arrows, because I'm ready to get a good score in game week 9. So 9 is the time for Bucks to shine.
Yeah, I think Liverpool is also traveling to play RB Leipzig. Not like a super tough match, but traveling to Germany to a hostile environment. So we'll see if there's any hangover on the weekend. They'll play the last match on Sunday. So good times ahead. We'll check in with Black Wolf. You can follow him on Twitter at FPL_Black Wolf. You can follow me on Twitter at FPL USA Brian. And of course, you can follow the other co-host behind the mic at FPL USA Bucks. He's getting wild. Give us a follow. We appreciate the support. Let's get the fuck out of here, Bucks. We got things to do.
Yeah. Great luck. Have a great week, everyone. And hopefully the green hours are coming for many of our listeners as well as for the hosts in game week 9. It's been a dream. Talk to you next week.